What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. We are jamming away up here after not really working on any of the customer stuff. Been busy doing other things, but we got the loader and some plowing done on the tractor. Dottie's car finally got an oil change that was a couple 100 miles overdue. And I've been stalling on this, on the stupid taillight configuration, license plate mount and all that other stuff. I still don't know what I want to do, but I did start making some standoff bungs, stainless, for the license plate mount. So I got 2 of 4. I still got to cut 2 more and then tap those for 1/4-20 hardware for the license plate. I'm going to keep going on that today. I don't know how much more I'm going to film. Maybe I'll just throw you guys up on the tripod and let it go. Add some tunes, speed it up, because this is not the most fun. And I'm not even at the final finishing stage, so all of these need to get cut down a little bit more once we're, but I want to get them threaded first. So that'll wait a little bit. But basically, I got a plate over here. These will kick off of a few this isn't the bracket I'm using, I got that one in the car, but these will go here. And then if this does get welded to the sissy bar, that'll give me enough meat to thread in some hardware into these instead of running through bolts, because it's going to bottom out on the sissy bar if we weld that up right here. So just in case, there's a chance I might not even use these stupid things and I'm just wasting all of this time. Go figure. Maybe we'll put the plate down on the side. I don't know. I hit that point where I can't make up my mind, so I'm kind of stalling with that one. I also need to make a steel bung for the seat mount, since this is the seat. I know in the comments on this from a couple of the videos, everybody says put it up high, do the chopper thing. I get that. I kind of want to do that. The other complaint that I got on this bike is that seat being too big to be like a skinny, cool chopper-ish. But given the customer that wants this bike, I'm not looking for cool guy chopper points. I'm not looking to make this super slim, narrow, skinny, slimline type seat. I want something practical and comfortable for him and his old lady to jump on and rip around without major complaints, which is why it's kind of laid out the way it is now. Are there cleaner, cooler looking seats? 100%. Could I make a seat pan for it that'll actually hug everything perfect? Yes. But this is here. This costs no time, no money, and realistically, it hugs the lines pretty well. It's just a little bit bulkier than I would typically like on this front nose section. Even if this narrowed up a little bit, if it sat kind of like that, you can see it in the dust. I think it'd be okay, but for what it is, I like little chopper seats. These are fine, these are fun. These look way better. There's no doubting that. This, even on a rigid, I would feel very, very comfortable putting a good amount of miles on a seat like this, and I'm building a rider. I'm not building show bikes, I'm not doing anything else. This bike will, in theory, be going up and down the road on its own quite regularly. At least that's the hope. So, I got the Volvo in here thawing out. We'll fire the lathe up, make the other 2. I'll at least get the rough cuts done. Maybe try and tap one. I'm not doing all of this on camera, but if we can get one of them tapped, we'll give that a shot, see if we have any luck. It's stainless, which is gonna weld better to the plate mount, but it's also much more difficult to work with. And I don't trust threading on this type of lathe. So, it is what it is. That's kind of where we're at. So enjoy the tunes, enjoy the time lapse. Oh, sketchy things that I don't recommend other people doing, but it's the fastest way that I have found for cutting the bar stock. They sell parting blades and things that get mounted up on the lathe. On this one, trying to find the right parts, and especially working with stainless, I use this bit to face the edges, and then I'll cut a groove where I need it roughly lengthwise, a little on the long side, hence why this one's a tiny bit longer than the other one. They're close enough, and I can face the end of that off to make them match, but I'll leave it a little long, cut a groove, and then honestly, it's super sketchy. I have this rigged up with it. Normally this is a safety switch shield. It's rigged up where that can stay back. But then I'll take a Sawzall, once I have a groove cut, run the blade from the Sawzall in here, and it cuts right through and leaves you with that on the bung. Is it the right way to do it? Absolutely not. But trying to cut through material like this with a parting blade on a lathe that doesn't have that much power or that sharp or that good of tooling sucks. It could be much cleaner, it could be much more precise. However, make do with what you got, and that's what I've been doing for years. Do I recommend it? No. Be careful with it, especially the first time you ever do it, but it does work. Sure, I'm gonna get reamed out. Oh, that's fine. If you want to ream me out in the comments for that, that's fine. That's just genuinely what I'm doing, how I do that. Doesn't make sense. Definitely not the safest way to do it, but it is what it is. My shop, my rules. If I hurt myself, that's on me. So yeah, we'll keep cutting some more bungs, at least get 4 of those made up, maybe try tapping them today. Then I gotta empty out the Volvo so I can fold those seats down and use that as my winter pickup truck, because I'm really getting sick and tired of having to move things and empty things and not have room to run parts from here to there. I don't like driving my dually in the snow. Well, the snow I don't mind. I don't like driving the dually in the salt when it's all on primer, when there's a bunch of exposed holes and not really raw, some raw metal, but not much. Trying to avoid that situation if at all possible. That's the salt vehicle. All right, let's get started on something. I'm rambling. Harbor Freight Lathe 101. So I ran out of material for what I was doing. What we're gonna do now is pull this drill bit out, open this up and throw in the countersink bit. I got a slight hole. I just got past the point of where this needs to sit. So open the jaws up, clamp this down. So, slide our tailstock over. Man, I gotta clean the crap out of this. Apparently, letting your stuff sit forever without using it isn't the greatest thing in the world for the lathe bed. Chuck this up. We're running a countersink bit here, which is way oversized for what I need. But we'll get this going. We're going to do a quick little counter bore. It's going to be loud with stainless, but deal with it. Start carving this through. In terms of speeds or anything like that, I have no idea where I'm at. Probably all sorts of rule books and how-to tutorials. Sadly, I'm just young enough to be part of the generation where high schools didn't offer shop classes for me, at least not where I went. They got rid of all the shop and the metal stuff a year or two before I started. Which are useful skills that I wish were still valued. This is walking a little bit too, unfortunately. I might have to square that up. So everything I had to do or wanted to do, I had to teach myself, which is kind of a pain. Okay. Loosen this, slide this back. I don't know how accurate this is. We're running the cheapest, well, one of the cheapest vices you can get, or lathes you can get, with super high quality jaws. So what I like to do is leave this a little loose, turn this on. You can put a dial indicator on here and measure run out, but for license plate bungs, I'm not overly concerned, nor am I going to take the time to try and lock this in completely. But we got our little pilot started, which is all I really wanted to do. This end of this piece is already faced, which is fine. So now we'll come back over to the tailstock and put our drill bit back in there. We are using those bits that I used to bang myself in the face, but we're going to basically tighten this in here and run this a good length of the way. Slide this tailstock over. I usually start with it right at the end there. Snug these down. And then we're going to just start threading this in. As I turn this wheel on the back, drive in the bit. The longer length you have here, the more play there is in the bit. But it'll work. And I think we're running, I don't even want to lie and make up a number right now. I'll check what size drill bit this is after. Hopefully it's close enough to grab threads that are going to tighten down. But we're going to be doing 1/4-20s on here, which is going to be really fun to chuck these up into the vise. Try and hold them in place. We're just going to slowly work this in until we get a nice, I don't know, inch inch and a half. I'm only worried about the outside one now. And then when I cut this off, it'll be a little closer in tolerance as we progress. Runout gets worse as we get farther away from the chuck on the lathe. So that's it. I'm just going to keep turning this wheel for quite a while. I do have measurements on the tailstock over here. I don't know how precise those are either, but about a 1/4 inch through now. I'd like to get to at least half, provided it stays happy. Again, steel will actually cut way faster on stainless. I always like going a little bit slower. Stainless isn't the best on your tooling. Oil's your friend here too, but I don't have anything handy, so for now we're going dry until I decide to walk across the shop. All right, we'll be back when we're ready to cut this thing. All right, so I should have roughly about an inch bored through there right now, which is fine. Then we're gonna move to our cutting bit. Ooh, that's really hot. That was, if you saw that smoke, that was just my skin. Not a big deal. But now I'll lay this out, get this close-ish, little on the wide side. Refire this up, and now we're just going to cut a groove right here. I've used bigger lathes. Makes much quicker work of a lot of this stuff, especially in terms of the material. But we'll stop that there. Looks pretty good to me. I'm gonna come out just a hair. I'd rather be on the longer side than the shorter side, so yeah, that really hurt. Apparently drilling an inch through stainless makes the metal material really hot. I'm using this bit because I don't have any of my other ones. But normally, I've got some smaller, tighter triangle bits, indexable, I guess. Those are sharper. They tend to leave a much nicer cutting pass. License plate mount bungs. All I gotta do is be able to thread a bolt into them. I apologize about the screaming. It's just this lathe and all of my tooling yelling at me, telling me this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. It's also really wide. It's not like a sharp corner, so it's binding on both edges there. Again, none of this is correct or proper, but it will work. So there's that. Now I got a nice groove, and this is where it gets sketchy. This is the do not try this at home. I've been talking to myself thinking the camera was on this whole time, but got one more bung added to the pile. Hopefully that was recording for some of this. I'll find out in editing. But did my hacksaw reciprocating saw trick. I'll do that one more time with an explanation because it's not proper, but it works for me. But then you end up with one little tail here. Now, while this is all set up and chucked up, come back over, bring your tool in and just do one. I like to round off that edge a little bit with the bit cut on an angle. Then we'll kind of work our way over here. I know you can still hurt yourself on even one of these little Harbor Freight ones, but it's a little bit better, less intimidating rather, than some of the bigger lathes. Little things like this, I mean, it's just so useful to have a little benchtop one. As much as I would like to have a bigger one, they take up so much space and power, and from what I need, typically, I'm making stupid bungs like this, or wheel spacers in aluminum. So, I'm sure this is deep enough for the last cut, for the last of our spacers. But it always gets me close enough for what I need it to. So, not going too far, probably another 1/4 inch or so on this. Then we'll cut it one more time with the mic on this time. I'll explain my hacksaw technique. Hopefully I can get one explanation. Should be good. So loosen this, turn your stuff off when you're adjusting things. Let's see if I left enough meat over here to get to this comfortably without hitting the bed. You gotta worry about that on the edge of the lathe here. This is how not to do it, but how to make it work with crappy tools. How's that sound? The wrong bit, cut a groove into the stainless, make the tools all yell at you and complain and scream about how unhappy they are. You just need a deep enough groove for a saw blade to catch. And if you hate the noise, just back off a little. Work it a little bit to the left. Now you can cut a deeper groove. Screaming at me because I got a 90-degree square getting jammed in, so it's hitting on both sides. But that's all we need for now. And the sketchy bit round 2. I'm not forcing on this, just letting the blade kind of weigh it down. A little bit of movement on the saw, plus the constant spinning on the lathe. Makes a relatively clean cut, not as good as a cutoff, but it does work. And with stainless, this works way faster than a parting tool, at least on my crappy setup. On bigger lathes with more power, I think you can probably get it to part proper, but I've had horrible luck trying in the past. And there you have it, with the camera recording this time. One more bung. Hung up on the tail from the saw. Ooh. Just barely thick enough on there. All of these are eventually going to go back in here and get refaced, but we're going to be refacing when it's chucked up that close to the edge. It'll give me a cleaner cut. So let me try and grab the 2 that aren't hot. Well, 1. We'll bring this over to the vise, chuck that up, see if I can get 2, see if I can get a couple of these tapped while the other 2 cool off. It's the really crappy part. Tapping stainless with a non-perforated set of jaws and a vise. Quarter 20 tap. And a semi-broken tap handle too. Really pushing my luck here. Might have to grab some oil at some point, but let's see if we can get lucky. Yeah, it's actually starting to go. That's what I was worried about. Stainless, crappy, very cheap tap set. Not so lucky. All right, now I get to fetch a tap out of there. This is why I hate doing stainless things. So luckily we're only like a thread in, so this shouldn't be too terrible. Unless it splits again right now, which it probably will because the camera's on. We did manage to get a couple threads cut though. So we got 3 in before it split. Let me see if I got one more quarter 20 up here. All right, high quality Chinese $30 complete tap set versus stainless steel bung. What could go wrong? So we got 3 threads cut. Just gonna try this one more time. Go a little slower. Maybe even add some oil. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Let's see what I can find here. I hate this part. So nerve-wracking. Typically, I usually try and get like a newer tap for stuff like this, especially on stainless. You're gonna burn them up pretty quick if you're running the cheap stuff. Which I always do. Don't try and overdo it and get too far ahead of yourself. You want to work into your threads, especially on stainless. Or if I'm totally wrong, again, correct me. Mild steel is much easier to work with in terms of making your own bungs and hand threading and tapping them. Also, a non-broken tap handle would be helpful. Oh, I hate this part. Work it in, nice and slow. This is probably going to be 1 bung a night for the rest of the week. Having flashbacks to building the sissy bar for my chopper, and it's not fun. Literally watching this flex. Don't like that. I am not loving this at all on a worn out tap. Oh, this tap is shot. This is pointless. What a waste of time. I gotta get a fresh one tomorrow. We'll come back and finish this up. We do have threads going on the other side that are now filled with oil. But that first one was working fine. This one's so worn out, there's no teeth left on there. So that's where we're gonna leave this one for now. We're about halfway of 4. I got 1 burnt finger. Oil in my lips now from blowing that out. But we'll get those all done. I don't know how much of that's going to be on camera because it's really not that exciting. Unless you guys just like watching me break things, which I don't enjoy doing. And it takes a while, longer than I'd like to admit. So I just want to listen to music and space out and do that. So we'll be back once these are all tapped, and then we'll figure out what we're doing on the actual license plate mount. I don't know how many days it's been. We were making bungs for the license plate mount. I still don't know what I'm doing with that. I got 1 or 2 done. That one's done. Other one's sitting up there. I tried doing power threading with stainless didn't work on the Harbor Freight lathe. Go figure. I knew it wouldn't, but I figured I'd give it a shot anyway, which is basically leaving the tailstock loose and sliding this in with a tap in and letting the tap kind of thread its way in. It just shuts this thing off, and it's a pain in the butt to keep clicking the switches over and over and over again. I also don't want to spend all the time on that because I don't know if we're even putting the plate up here or spacing it out. So that's my biggest issue right now. But we'll wind this video down here because I just finished editing the previous bits. This is the first time the camera's been on in almost a week, which is a long time for me. But I've been too busy on the coating side. We've been rocking and rolling, blasting and coating a bunch of rush job stuff and big fender stuff and big job stuff, which is cool. I need the money, but it definitely takes a lot of time. So the trade-off, right? It's fun being able to come up here and tinker around and mess around. If I'm working on stuff a ton up here, I'm not doing enough work over there, is how my brain is telling me that I need more work in. Now it's the opposite. All I can think about is getting the Harley stuff done over here, working on the chopper, finishing up all these stupid things that are in the back of my head, but they get pushed to the back because we have customer work taking precedence. So that's kind of where we're at on this one. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna have a little bit of a series on this. Diesel compressor needs a little bit of love, coming soon. And I gotta find 3, 4, 5 hours out of my day to go drive and go pick up the inner primary because I need to finish this thing up. The shovelhead is driving me nuts that it's just sitting there. Doesn't need all that much more. It's just a matter of picking up parts that I don't have. More importantly, I've had this bike way too long, and it was 50 some degrees today. We had a weird warm-up spell, so all of the snow has melted, and I capitalized on the nice weather doing more preparatory. Look at that, no more snow. Everything's dry. So got a little bit of cleaning done in here, and then just refilling propane tanks, diesel compressor, reloaded with fuel, just all the stupid errand things that I've been putting off. But it was nice out today, so driving around with the windows down was fantastic. But I'm rambling. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all those other fun things. We'll catch you on the next one.